This is Franz Cantor, cartoonist, illustrator, and toon talker, and I'm here with
Jim Bridges, and I'm the president of the Australian Cartoon Museum, and we're going to do Jack Kirby.
So this is a great book by Mark Evanier, Kirby, King of Comics, published by Abrams.
And Mark Evanier was his personal assistant. He worked as a personal assistant, so he knew a lot about Kirby.
Yeah.
Not just how he drew, but a lot of personal stuff. He picked up a lot of stuff through osmosis, being next to the great man, and there he is himself, drawing.
Yeah.
And he's right-handed for all those left-handed freaks out there.
How about that for the ending? That's a bit sad.
Very sad.
So here it is, the studio full of Kirby.
Yeah, full of Kirby. And so a legend lived again.
This incredible three-dimensional construction, master of comic book design, having characters and things, leap off the page. He never let realism stand in his way of a good story. This guy was amazing, was incredible. He is the reason why I draw today. A lot of artists can say the same thing.
And there's a renaissance in Kirby, and for good reason, because he's called the king of comics, and that's true. Notice the fist coming at you and the leg on the opposite side of the body coming towards you, and the hand the way, and so that just gives you this sort of
twisting.
Yes.
Yeah.
This 3D powerful pushing effect.
But you can see the Dutch tilt of the car, opposition to the buildings, the horizon. Yeah. Then universe coming in and stuff,
and the cosmos coming, always pushing in.
Yeah, so he pushed into the cosmos
more than any other cartoonist.
Yeah, he was the consummate problem solver. Very interested in everything: graphics, fine art, history, Oriental art.
He plugged into everything.
Technology.
He plugged into everything.
And how to draw it, how to depict it, chrome, shiny metal, different, again, not a realistic depiction by any standard, but it is incredibly powerful, more powerful than realism.
It's about power.
Yeah. So here is the powerful guy here. Here he is. And this is some of his work, here it is. Here it is on the opposite page. But everything there, the fingers are like spatulas, the feet are like shoehorns almost. They're not. They've become Kirby icons. All of the characters that he draws, the faces that he draws are magnificent. The teeth in the faces that he draws, this broken glass sort of looking teeth, which is so iconic. I mean, he's probably the most imitated comic artist that ever lived, and he was responsible single-handedly for the popularity of modern comics. Modern comics were in decline, in the 60s, and he single-handedly took the mantle of the graphic novel on his back, although it wasn't graphic novel then, it was comic books, and single-handedly brought it back. The covers that he produced leapt off the page, off the counters and off the magazine racks, and you couldn't say that for anybody else. I know people have love-hate relationships with their favorite artist or their favorite comic book character or whatever. That's fine. But look at some of the characters that he's done. He's responsible for these characters, iconic characters. Nick Fury, Captain America, The Thing, the Silver Surfer,
Demon.
Thor, Demon, yeah, Hulk. So this book is great. It tells you about the early days of some of the legends of Kirby growing up in where did he grow up? Yancey Street or Clancy Street, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah,
it was rough. These are some of his early caricatures.
Yeah, accurate, yes. Strong is the word. The strength. It's magic. The
frustration of this is an early autobiographical about his early life. I don't know when he did it. I think he did it in the late 60s, but look, tearing at the face here.
You would never see anybody draw action like this.
Nobody.
He was the only person who would do this, the only artist. He broke all the rules. All the rules.
He invented a lot as well.
Yeah.
He invented muscles and machinery that still doesn't exist.
So, seemingly a normal exposition going into this incredible fist fight, you know, which is equal of anything in Captain America. This is Yancey Street, is it?
That's his
Neighbourhood.
streetscape, yeah, with horses, so it's early.
Yeah.
Gangsters
Yep.
rule the streets, and they're running through, having a fight through a bloke who does,
A Mason.
yeah,
Brilliant stuff.
that's apparently the most autobiographical thing he's ever written. And
It's about bullying and about responding, about being a man,
yeah,
growing up and being a man. And really, you know what? In comics, he was the man.
yes, he was
None
also
like
an
him.
in-betweener for Fleischer Studios.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Did political stuff. He changed his name. He called himself Jack Curtis, all sorts of things before he actually came up with Jack Kirby, which is not his real name.
Yeah.
Did lots of strips.
Yeah. So really, you know, experimenting with a lot of different ways to make a living. Newspaper strips, comics, newspaper comics.
Low angle. He did a lot of low angle
Lance
stuff.
Kirby, Lone Rider, Champion.
Well, he invented more superheroes than anybody else.
Yeah.
He also pioneered love comics,
Yeah.
and he really got into the cosmic stuff deeper than anybody else. And also, with the war came along, Captain America, you know, won the war single-handedly,
Yep.
more than Errol Flynn did.
Well, completely
Or John
single-handedly
Wayne.
because Bucky is just a circle down the bottom.
Yeah.
Also, Captain America's young ally Bucky, so he's not there. I guess Bucky's not bulletproof enough.
So this is early comic where he's fighting the Red Skull, who
Yep.
was the representation of
Germany.
Nazism.
Yep. USA Comics. So these are 1941. This is right in the war era. So building up to the entry into the
early
war.
photograph of Stan Lee.
Yeah. He looks very. Would you buy a vacuum cleaner from this man? Okay. Enough said.
Enough said.
Star Spangled Comics. Look at all this great stuff. You can start to
Beginning
see
of
see the low
scale.
perspective.
Yes.
The scale that you were talking about before, like the big giant overlooking the little tiny people. You know, he used this trope a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes. I once read an article
Here he is putting himself into the cover,
that claims that all of those low shots in Citizen Kane,
attributed to Kirby.
yeah, because he didn't know how to make films. God, what's his name? Who made Citizen Kane? Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
And he did a crash course, and part of the crash course is looking at comics.
Yep.
He looked at a lot of Kirby comics, and so that's why there's so many low action shots.
So this is him in the war, and he's
Yeah, that's his girlfriend Roz, the beloved Roz.
yeah. Look at that. What do they call that? The rolls. They call it rolls.
Yeah.
1940s.
And here he is writing letters back home, talking about the mud and stuff.
Yeah.
They're all characters he invented as well.
Yep. This is a very complete book. This is lovely. Boy Explorers.
He didn't do much of his own inking.
No, but the inking that he did do, you could tell. I mean, the pencils that he did very complete pencils. So he would have drawn in the shadows over here,
Yeah.
To indicate how he'd like it finished with the ink.
Also, he was the most prolific artist in comics history.
Yeah.
Some bloke would spend a month on a comic and he'd produce 7.
Yeah, well, there's an awful lot of. The way that he'd draw, it's from his head, from his imagination. So there'd be very little to inform him from the real world. He would change it just so much.
Yes.
The machinery, the landscape, the characters, the expressions on the
He
characters'
would give you
faces.
the feeling of machinery.
He would
power
own-
of machinery.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. He wasn't interested in
realistic
No.
depictions of machinery.
no Captain.
Although that's a very, very cool, beautiful horse. So he had he did understand a lot. He did do a lot of, research into animals, into anatomy and things. So he knew anatomy. He knew comparative anatomy.
He added to it.
Yeah, Captain 3D.
Added extras.
Yeah, this is exploring the early days of 3D in 1954. Of course, there'd be movies coming out in the cinema, and the comics would reflect that.
Yeah, that's a great cover. A Day at the Beach.
Yes. Yeah.
Dear Mum, the war is like a what? It's like a picnic. Yeah.
Because you couldn't say the truth.
And that's a great panel for the first
The hot
close-up.
box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bullets flying through the air and
Yeah. And why was it called the hot box?
'Cause
Look at
that's-
this.
because he's
These things when they
he's
fly
the
out.
tail gunner.
Exactly. And these things when they fly out, they're burning hot.
Yeah.
These are great. Look at these. The way that this is how he did layouts with the cut and paste. Speed Boy. Handsome Devils. The League of the Handsome Devils. So a lot of classic comic book exposition. The down shot, the extreme down shot, the overhead. The use of strong black and whites, black shadows, almost a film noir look for a lot of this. That's why it's important to see a lot of the Kirby in black and white. You can start to appreciate his ability to work with shadows.
The dynamic storytelling is extraordinary. If you couldn't read the language in the comics, you'd still appreciate the comics.
In classic 1930s and 1940s comics, you'd have the characters pointing the gun at the hero or the villain or whatever from the side, or from the back. But he does it from the camera's point of view.
Yeah.
So you're in the action, and this is something that he was a very big exponent of, and really came to a fore in his dynamic, double page spreads and his covers, where he was able to then explore the dynamics of a full page.
He worked with
Or
Joe
double page.
Sinnott, who was his partner in lots of things, and they went their ways. This is beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
The 50s was full of
A lot of tech, a lot of sci-fi. Everyone was into sci-fi, rockets, So he had a handle on the design of all of this hardware that you can
and this
see
is the
in there.
beginning of the Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic Four are scientists that went into space and they got special powers.
The Fly, another three-dimensional, and he invented the splash page.
Yeah.
The type of art on a cover is always different to what's inside.
Yep.
It's got to grab your attention.
Yep. So, wide angle scream. First time in comics action on the wide angle scream.
And I
The
think
fly battle spider spry.
Yeah. He even did Classics Illustrated.
Classics Illustrated. Strange Worlds. A lot of if you can pick up some of these, my God, they were brilliant. Silver Surfer is one of his
Great creation.
great creations. How do you do chrome? This is, wasn't seen before in comics. Chrome, the man made of chrome, is so shiny, so all of the things that he would reflect, the sky and the water and the other elements. This is
early work at
Kid,
Marvel.
yeah. So he
and
would
did
do
lots of monster stuff, which actually all ended up, a lot of it later on in Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Well, he did these sort of mole type creatures, these great big hulking brutes,
See, that's the beginning of the Thing, the leg.
and the Hulk probably. Yeah.
And see this later on, these nails actually grew out of people's hands because of the chewed there's the first cover of the first Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, that started a revolution, this comic.
Yeah.
4 different people, here they are, they're pledging
Their allegiance.
yes. And of course, as I said once before, Gil Kane said that the first 100 issues of of the Fantastic Four are the best thing ever been done in
Comics.
and he said it's unparalleled and he doesn't think it'll ever be repeated. There's actually Jack Kirby and Lee working out about Doctor Doom, and then Doctor Doom comes and visits him
Yeah.
like he's a real character.
Yeah.
And of
Well,
course,
this
the
is
kids loved all that.
typical of Kirby
the kids
and
lapped it all up.
Yeah. Well, I was a kid. I was reading this. So typical of Kirby and Lee, they would offer. They would break the fourth wall occasionally and have characters talk to you personally. So
And
it was
how
amazing time.
How Stanley talked to the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give them that.
Stanley loved the fans. Anybody who loved his comics, he was all over them. There's a story. I had a friend who went to New York for me to get an Avengers T-shirt for me, and he went down to the lobby and asked to see somebody in sales to pick up a T-shirt. And Stanley actually brought the T-shirt down to the lobby because he was so interested in seeing a fan of
From Australia.
yeah.
Yeah. He probably wanted to get in early to say that he did Spider-Man, not Ditko.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so all these characters started rolling off. The whole Marvel universe started rolling off the Kirby and Lee.
But look at the thing, jumping off the magazine stand. You've got these Dutch tilts, these things, the superheroes that are impossibly huge, impossible muscles. They weren't ever seen before, anything like this. And there were the shape and size of gods, and there you have an actual god there, a god of thunder. So they were coming at you, jumping off the shelves.
Yep.
So these comics, compared to everything else was just second best. He had an incredible impact, certainly on Marvel Comics, and I would say on comics in general. Made comics a very, very dynamic, exciting,
That's a great
creative endeavour. Yeah.
Great cover.
So again, with the big and the little, and these sort of, these incredible poses, these dynamic poses that he had, right out of his imagination. He'd do pin-ups. Karnak, the Shatterer. So look, he's got, there's an attention to detail within the detail within the detail. Yeah, there's Medusa. She's a gorgeous.
Karnak's the place in Egypt, isn't it?
Yeah.
And,
This monster.
and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yep.
And I think Kirby's got his hand on his arm, but I think he wants to put it somewhere else. There's some stylised pictures of people he's done.
Some of these are new gods, aren't they?
No, some of these didn't actually get in stories. I don't know. And of course, his most famous character is Captain America, which was used in all sorts of stuff, including Easy Rider. Remember, the character's called Captain America.
Yeah.
And then when he got into the Thor, he drew it with a totally different style,
Yep.
an epic style.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, Silver Burper.
Yeah.
Where's this from?
Well, it's
Not Brandech or something, or This is a send-up page for some
Yeah,
reason.
it's the Fantastical Four.
Yeah, but what's it? Oh, Brandeck, number 1.
Yeah, yeah.
August here,
Yeah.
not Brandeck. So this was a send-up page he did. Not Brandeck was a kind of an in-joke for...
It's early What If.
well, it's kind of like Marvel's making fun of itself and DC.
Yeah.
Because they had Super Duper Man, I think, in it as well.
There's a rawness, a powerful rawness about some of his work. That's a full page in a comic,
Yeah.
and the ink is really thick, but it's really powerful and raw. It's sort of frightening.
Well, he's a consumer graphic designer.
Yeah.
These are. I mean, these work. We've seen these actually in galleries where
Yes.
they're blown up.
Yes.
You know, they work as huge
That's a
panels,
DC character,
huge
Darkseid,
paintings.
who's terrific.
Yeah.
Based on Star Wars is based on his New God series from
Yep.
DC. This guy travels through space.
Yep. There's the New Gods
Yeah,
and the Forever People.
he was putting out the series where he had, I think it was 5-6 comics, and they were all connected. One story, or one way or the other. Now this is the complicated bit.
Ah, okay, good. So let's start with the pin-up. Big Barda,
Yeah,
magnificent drawing, beautiful.
yeah.
Powerful.
And this is someone else's version of someone else's version of the cover
Yeah, well that's
of New Gods.
that's a Ross drawing, isn't it?
Mike Royer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's really worked on it because it's very Kirby-like actually. Push you back in the middle. And Commandy, which is based on the Planet of the Apes but in reverse.
Yep.
The animals rule.
Yep.
Not just the monkeys, but all of them do.
Yeah.
OMAC is one-man army corps.
Yep.
That's an extraordinary short.
The Demon, that's another very good.
Very powerful.
strip.
Very
Yeah.
powerful. Very.
And very interesting story, The Demon.
Yes.
Questions his demonology, his demonness,
Yeah.
which is kind of like early Mignola, Hellboy, questioning his demon.
Yeah,
faith.
this is influenced by the Planet of the Apes, obviously. Sandman's a character who comes in your dreams. The Eternals.
Yeah,
His style, as he got older, became more blockier.
yeah. So it's still great, you know. There's Howard the Duck, I presume.
I don't think he did
Destroy
have
it.
that. Destroy it.
Destroy it.
Yeah, he would. It's not finished anyway.
Yeah.
So there's this. You can see his style is getting blockier, but more. It's just the same power. He understood the dynamics of storytelling.
Yeah, unstoppable,
Yeah.
completely. Mercury.
We'll have to make more films about Jack Kirby
Yes,
because he's such a
Dark Seed.
Darkseid is the main character in the evil character in New God Sin, which is what Darth Vader is based on. Gods on Earth. Well, that explains a lot about Kirby because everything he got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So he starts off with gangsters and he starts off with horror stories and he gets
stories.
bigger and bigger and then it becomes cosmic. It's fighting the cosmos. You were fighting out in the cosmos. There's Jack Kirby.
Yeah,
Gil Kane behind you.
yeah.
These are all great cartoons. It's Eisner.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and there's Odin himself with all the decoration and all the
Yeah, and there's a thing wishing you best wishes for Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah on the thing.
yeah.
The yarmulke on.
So here he is with all these characters coming off the page, all the familiar characters. There's lots of fights going on about him and Spider-Man, but
Yeah,
he did the
you
first
might look
cover.
at this and laugh, but this is what happened to
all
to me
these are now multi-million
as a
dollar
little
movies.
9-year-old. You know, looking at the characters, they're leaping off the page. That actually there was no competition between any other comic and Marvel Comics for me. I grew up with Marvel Comics because of this man. I started drawing because of this man. And a lot of people feel the same way.
Well, the Marvel universe is happening in the cinemas in the last 10 years, and looks like it's not run out of its steam yet. That's all because of this one bloke, really.
Yeah.
That's where the source material came from.
Yep.
Although Stan the Man might have...
as big as anything he drew.
Yeah. And there's that... And this is, you know... He said, if you ever change back to the thing, you'll always remain that way, always. Oh no, Johnny, no, don't let it bug you, baby. It's just the way I planned it. Ben, why should I be nowhere, nobody?
Nice ending.
And he walks off into the distance.
Into the distance.
And of course, that's where Jack was. That's where he worked. It's so
his empty desk.
sad and empty.
Yeah, poignant.
Yeah.
Great book.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed reading this. It's great. It's from the
you actually read it.
Mark Evanier and
you actually
Kirby
read it and
Comics.
just didn't look at the pictures.
I usually start with the pictures. If it interests me, I'll read it. So Kirby King of Comics by Abrams Press.
Yeah.
If you can see this on Amazon, snap it up. Okay. This is Franz Cantor
And Jim Bridges saying goodbye.
We'll catch you next time.